Hello, my name is Ernie Lee. I'm a high school history teacher in Savannah, Georgia, and I'm a member of Asbury Memorial Church. Today I'm going to share with you some ideas on celebrating the season of Advent, the 4 Sundays before Christmas, and offer suggestions on how you and your family can prepare for this season that leads up to Christmas. Now, Advent is the period preceding the Christmas season. It begins on the Sunday nearest November 30th, the Feast of St. Andrew, the Apostle, and covers 4 Sundays. Because the day it begins changes from year to year, so does the length of each Advent season. The word Advent comes from Latin and means the coming. For centuries, Advent has been a time of spiritual reflection as well as cheer and anticipation. Even as the Christmas season has become more secular with advertising urging holiday gift buyers to buy and buy some more, Advent still brings joy in the observance of ancient customs. Christian families find quiet moments lighting candles in the Advent wreath, and children use Advent calendars to count the days until Christmas. Advent has probably been observed since the 4th century. Originally, it was a time when converts to Christianity readied themselves for baptism. During the Middle Ages, Advent became associated with preparation for the Second Coming. In early days, Advent lasted from November 11th, the Feast of St. Martin, until Christmas Day. Advent was considered a pre-season or pre-Christmas season of Lent, when Christians devoted themselves to prayer and fasting. The Orthodox Eastern Church observes a similar Lenten season from November 15th until Christmas rather than Advent. Many Christians still view Advent as a season to prepare for the second coming of Jesus. In the last 50 years, however, it's also come to be thought of as a time of anticipating the Nativity on Christmas Day. Okay, let's talk about Advent wreaths. Advent wreaths have the origins in the folk traditions of Northern Europe, where in the deep of winter people lit candles on wheel-shaped bundles of evergreen. Both the evergreen and the circular symbol symbolized ongoing life. The candles gave comfort at the darkest time of the year as people looked forward to the longer days of spring. Now, other sources say the Advent wreath was originally a German and Scandinavian home devotional practice used to mark the 4 weeks of Advent. Although many symbols have been attributed to it since that time, it was originally intended to mark the Advent season and the weeks until Christmas. Now, later, Eastern European Christians adopted this practice. By the 16th century, people were making Advent wreaths much as we know them today. An Advent wreath traditionally contains 4 candles, 3 purple and 1 rose-colored one. Purple dyes were so rare and costly that they were associated with royalty. Now, the Roman Catholic Church has long used purple around Easter and Christmas to honor Jesus. The 3 purple candles in the Advent wreath symbolizes hope, peace, and love. These candles are lit on the 1st, 2nd, and 4th Sundays of Advent. The rose candle, which symbolizes joy, is usually lit on the 3rd Sunday. Sometimes a 5th candle is placed inside the Advent wreath. This candle is lit on Christmas Day. It is white, the color associated with angels and the birth of Jesus. Because Advent wreaths are an informal celebration, not all are the same. Instead of purple candles, some people use blue, which recalls the colors of the night sky before daylight returns. And others just use all white candles, or what they have in the house. The first Advent wreath I remember seeing was used in the small Methodist church I attended as a boy in Stone Mountain, Georgia. It was a metal circular ring that held 4 candles and was highly stylized with mosaic tiles painted around the metal ring. Each year and each Sunday of Advent, the candles were lit while the church organist played the tune, "There's a Song in the Air." Now, this ritualized act, in my young mind, set these days off as special, even before I realized the significance of Advent. And as I got older and attended other churches, I saw what different ways that Advent was celebrated, from green wreaths with large pillar candles, wow, suspended from the ceiling by heavy wrought iron chains, to large wreaths with candles on large brass pillars, to simple candelabras with green and holly intertwined among the candles. Now, I want to explain this to you for you to realize that there's no set method to Advent. It's just a way to mark the waiting until the birth of Christ. And it's a time to prepare your hearts and minds for the Christ child. Some call it a penitential time like Lent to reflect, but the focus is it's a way to mark time, really to prepare for Christmas. Okay, well, what about Advent calendars? An Advent calendar is a card or poster with 24 small doors, one to be opened each day from December 1 until Christmas Eve. And each door conceals a picture. This popular tradition arose in Germany in the late 1800s and soon spread throughout Europe and North America. Originally, the images in the Advent calendars were derived from the Hebrew Bible. Considered a fun way of counting down the days until Christmas, many Advent calendars today may have no religious content. I've seen large wooden structures with actual doors that open to display everything from toys, chocolates, to splits of sparkling wine and small cans of exotic beers. Obviously, the latter are not meant for children. Now, along the traditional Advent calendars depicting angels and biblical figures are those with doors to open to display teddy bears, toys, or even photos of pop stars. Now, when I was single and lived alone, I would light the candles early in the morning before each day, when I would have my first cup of coffee and either do a daily reading or maybe a meditation. Now my partner and I will light the candles before the evening meal and catch up on the day and offer a prayer before our meal. Before this COVID stuff, we would have friends over for dinner. We would ask them to take the honor to light the Advent candles. Well, now I guess we could still do that on video chat. But now, what brings me back to lighting the Advent candles each year? Well, like I said, the days are shorter, and my breakfast is usually before the sun rises, and my evening meals are usually after the sun sets, because the days are shorter. But it reminds me of the seasons, and to be thankful for what I have, my health, my family, and to be especially to mark the time before Christmas. Okay, now hang on for part 2. I'm going to show you several ideas of how you can make your own Advent wreath with things you have at home. So stay tuned. Hello, this is Ernie Lee, and welcome back to Advent Wreaths Part 2. Well, so when I was looking at different types of Advent wreaths, I went online and to see what was available that you could buy. And this is an example of really a traditional Advent wreath with greenery, pine cones, and this was one that you could actually buy online, and it was kind of expensive. And then I kept looking, and then here is another one that I found, very similar to one that I used for a long time. You can tell it's just a metal ring with 4 candle holders in it, and then it's got some greenery around it. But then I was thinking, let's see what I've got around the house, and because I don't really want to go out and buy things unless I really have to. So I thought, okay, well, let's put on your thinking cap, Ernie, and see what you've got around the house. And so this is what I came up with. I found some napkin rings that we'll use sometimes for the holidays. And I've got a little wreath here. This is like a vine wreath. And then I've got some electric candles, little votive candles or tea lights. And so I thought, okay, well, let's see what I can do with this. And boom, this is what I've got. I've got a very small but nice Advent wreath that I just kind of put together. And so I thought, okay, well, let's see what else you can do. Let's see how creative you can be. I needed to take into my classroom, and the plant had died in it, obviously. So I thought, okay, well, let's see. You've got Advent candles. This is what you can do with it. And boom, how about this? So I basically just stuck my Advent candles in a pot of dirt, a clay pot with dirt. And I had these little Christmas picks. So I just kind of stuck those in. And so boom, I've got a very simple little Advent wreath. I thought, okay, Ernie, let's see what else you can do. So I thought, well, I have a bag of sand. Actually, this is a kind of a broken flower pot, but I brought it in and cleaned it off, and boom, kind of the same thing. I just stuck my candles in it. And you can see this time I've got, a purple candle in the middle and other white candles, and again, some flower picks. But this was really easy to do with stuff that I already had on hand. Now, you might need to go get candles, and of course you can order those or buy them at a craft store and have curbside pickup. So that's an idea. And so then I kept thinking, okay, well, what else can I do? How about birthday candles? I had a little piece of styrofoam, and yeah, I had birthday candles. This would be very simple. And of course, this is something that if you've got children love birthday candles. And so you could easily let them have their own. Now, of course, a caution here is, whenever you've got kids and fire, you want to be very careful. But again, here's another idea. Okay, so again, I was taking that little wreath that I had before, and I dug in and found some other napkin rings that I had, and these are kind of different heights. And so I could put my tea lights or votive candles here, and it would make them different levels. Okay, so that's another idea. So again, looking around, I found I had a pillar candle here on a little glass holder. And so I ended up getting some sherbet glasses, out of the china cabinet, and then again stuck. These are battery powered votive lights, but I put those in there. So that was kind of nice. I got kind of fancy here. I've got a raffia wreath, and I didn't have this at home. I did actually go by a craft store and bought this. And then the little tea lights here, actually I hot glued on, and these were some starfish that I had in a shell. So I thought, well, that's kind of beachy. And so I really like that. Actually, this is one that I am probably going to use this year. And then going on, I had some oyster shells. And so these are again a little electric lights, but they throw off a nice shade. And then I had a starfish, and I just put a little birthday candle into the center. And so, of course, remember, we would light one candle every Sunday, and burn that for the week. And then we would light the center candle, of course, on Christmas Day. And so that's one just of oyster shells. We had these left over from an oyster roast. And so I had cleaned them out, and actually I put them in the base of a lamp, but I dug those out. So if you've got oyster shells, again, looking at, whatever you've got around the house. Now, the idea of why we're talking about Advent wreaths are that we're going to be lighting an Advent wreath in church on the Sundays leading up to Advent, and there'll be special prayers made over each week. And the idea of all of us doing this together, very similar with the votive candles that we're going to be lighting together as a congregation, as a group, between 6 p.m. and 10 p.m., every night, starting the countdown to Advent. The idea is that when we're lighting these in church on Sundays, you could light yours as well, and to be a part of it, or just turn it on like with these. Okay. And then last but not least, yes, I've got the Charlie Brown Christmas tree Advent wreath. You can't see the fourth one over here, but again, I was just kind of digging and really wanted to have some fun with this. Again, Advent is a time to to prepare our hearts and minds for Christ. It's a way of marking time. And again, since a lot of us are not traveling, we're going to be home, spending times with our family, this could be a nice way to start a new tradition. Now, also, I know that not everybody is in a family. You may be living by yourself. And this also is a good way to think about this time. And so again, what I wanted to show you is that you really didn't even need a wreath to do this. Okay, so this is the end of part 2, but stay tuned for part 3, and I will be back shortly. Thanks for watching, and hold on. So you can see there are many ways to prepare an Advent wreath. You can use pillar or taper candles, tea lights, or even birthday cake candles. You can use real wax candle that burns, or battery-powered candles that don't actually burn but flicker. I was working on drilling holes in a piece of firewood to hold candles as another example of a simple Advent wreath, but my battery-powered drill ran out of power. So maybe I'll get a corded drill as a gift. Who knows? Well, most of this stuff I already had at home, and the stuff I didn't have I could have easily ordered online or picked up at a local craft shop or at the local home improvement store. Most of these places allow you to order and pick up stuff curbside, so you don't even have to go into the store. So you can go as fancy or as simple. The main thing to remember is to enjoy the time with your family, or if you're by yourself, to mark the occasion and set these days off as something special. Okay, I hope you've enjoyed this brief history of Advent and suggestions on how you can begin to celebrate Advent. Remember, there is no right or wrong way to make an Advent wreath. And as you saw in several of my examples, you don't even need to have a wreath. The goal of Advent is to mark time until Christmas and to prepare your hearts and minds to welcome the Christ child. If you'd like to learn more about ways to celebrate the season of Advent, you can contact Asbury Memorial Church in Savannah, Georgia, USA, by calling area code 912-233-4351 or visit us online at www.asburymemorial.org. So remember, be good to yourself, be good to others, wear a mask, socially distance, and wash your hands frequently. My name is Ernie Lee. Thank you